Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. 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 Reality TV's church reviews. Let's talk happy love and marriage lifestyle. Come and talk with us. Come and share with us. Come and laugh with us. Come on and pray with us.
Regina Clovis, special guest. You should be following your lead. Bless. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on podcasts. We live on IG and Facebook. This episode is sponsored by Truth and Triumph Ministries.
Everyone, and happy Monday. Welcome to the Money Monday series. This is Executive Pastor Tawana Grant, and I am so excited to have you with us today. We're so appreciative of your presence, and we hope that you're ready for your lunchtime learning. We're on the Juice Radio and Talk Show. We want to remind you to go onto YouTube. Make sure you hit that bell and subscribe. If you're watching us via Facebook or Instagram or any of our other platforms, we welcome you to like, to share, and let others receive this additional information as we can help grow you in your ministry and in your business. So again, we want to continue in our series that we have been journeying on offensive and defensive money moves. And so today, last week was excellent. We really talked about how do you use partnership as a strategic move to advance your organization and advance your business. And one of the things that we wanted to say that you are afforded with a partner multiplication. Multiplication gives you a different expansion and a different opportunity to create new channels of revenue. So make sure if you didn't hear it already, you go back and review last week's conversation. But today we're going to be talking about data as a strategy, how important it is so that we have credible data to make our financial decisions. How can you have a financial strategy without leveraging credible data? So we want to encourage you that data can help you to grow your business, and it helps you also to guard it. Not only do you want to grow it, you want to guard it. And so some of the things that we want to help you today is to talk about that information is not optional. It is necessary and it is strategic. Information is necessary and it is strategic. So we want to encourage you today, even as you're watching us later after the broadcast has taken place, make sure that you're giving strong attention to leveraging credible data as you make your decisions. Welcome, little lady. We're so glad to have you today. And those of you who are joining us on other platforms, we appreciate you. So today we're really talking about this weapon that you can have in your playbook that a lot of people overlook. Whether you are managing a business or leading in your ministry, how you use information can really fuel your growth. It can really help you, and it can help you prevent destruction. It can help you prevent things that will cause calamity in where you're trying to take your organization because you're watching the data and you're watching trends. We want to make sure that we're intentional because we want to be good stewards over what's been put into our hands, the responsibility that we have. We want to honor it in integrity, and one of those things is leveraging data. We don't want to operate. So data can be divine. It can be a divine partner in what you're doing because it matters. Here, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, these are a trifecta in making decisions and leading with insight, not by impulse. We want to encourage you today that even as we move forward, we're halfway in the year. We still have a lot of the year left to go. We want to make sure that we're making decisions not on impulse, but by insight, so that we have the information necessary so that when we make them in our planning, so that we make them when we're making decisions about spending, because data helps the diligent. Can I say that again? Data helps the diligent because it helps you to know your platform. It helps you to understand what the playing field is. It helps you to recognize, what are my numbers? What are the trends? What's happening with people and what's happening with my resources? Data can be leveraged as divine information. And so we want to encourage you that you recognize that data can help you grow your strategy. Even though you have a strategy and a plan, what you use is we're leveraging data to make sure that we're refining as we move along so that we have the agility to make new decisions for the new day, for the new week. What we determined early in the first part of the year that this was going to be our strategy for the year, and we're moving forward on the strategy. We do not want to eliminate or mitigate the fact that data as you move along is so imperative to make sure, one, that the course you set is still accurate. Because old news sometimes can lead you into operating for what has become comfortable because you've been doing it the last 6 months. We want to make sure that we're operating from the capacity that I now have new data, which precludes me to reevaluate my strategy and make sure that I am making the appropriate moves. And when you have targeted growth, when you want to do something strategic, you need to know your product. You want to know your services. You want to know and understand, is my program working? Is the plan working? Are we still on point? And you want to be able to just scale it. When you have a target, you want to know, am I on the same trajectory? Sometimes as we move along throughout the year, things happen, things change, and we have to make pivots. We have to make new adjustments and course correct. And while you're doing that, you're still on plan, you're still on strategy, but you have to move according to the new information to make sure that you're still making forward progress. And so this helps you as you operate from data about your clients, your customers, and even your members. You want to have that kind of insight to understand what are the behaviors that are happening now. Not what happened in January, not happening through January through May, but what is happening now in June. And so this may give some of us an opportunity to go back and reevaluate because we want to know what are behaviors dictating now. What are the needs for now? We're going into summer. Even in our ministry, we're making adjustments because we know it's summertime. And so we want to meet the needs of the people. You want to meet the needs of your organization, your client, your customers, your strategic partners, because they change as seasons change. And so also, what are preferences? What are people preferring now? Maybe you've been considering, you had an idea that has been on the shelf. Maybe if you review your data, maybe if you do now a small peer group, or you do a small poll, or you do a proof of concept to see, is now the time? Is now the right time to interject a new pivot or a change? Is now the right time based on what I'm getting from my understanding of the people, right? Behaviors, needs, preferences, and trends. How am I using that data to make me more efficient? How am I using that data to make my organization grow in such a way that we're advancing the mission and the vision? And then how am I using data for pricing and forecasting? You've got to know your market. Again, that is getting data. You have to understand, where's inflation? Where's my competitors positioning? Where are they at in this marker of the mid-year? So this is so key and so important that these are the critical benefits of using data as a strategic move for offensive and defensive money moves. And then innovation. How can I use innovation to leverage data to improve my operations, to improve automation, to pivot smartly, right? We want to pivot with intentionality, not out of impulse, not out of emotions, because we know impulse and emotions, they change, they shift, but the data is more credible. So when you use data offensively, that's how you use it as a benefit to grow. When you use your data offensively, it helps you not to waste money on scaling what doesn't work. You don't want to scale what doesn't work. Data helps you to know, is this a preference? Is this a need? Are people looking for this before you spend money? So that's why we're saying sometimes you want to evaluate the data, and you can even do a little bit of a proof of concept. You can do a peer group. You can do where you're getting a panel together and see if this is beneficial. Because one thing on the offense of data is it helps you not to waste money in scaling what doesn't work. It also helps you to don't make assumptions about what cost your customers or your clients or your members are willing to take on. What are they willing to do? What are they willing to push forward? When you use data, it helps you to understand and not make assumptions. It helps you to be more realistic. It helps you to be more reactive rather and be proactive, because you become proactive and not always reactive. You don't want to react everything very quickly. You become proactive, and then you have a measured reactiveness, right? You can react to what's happening now, but you are proactive because you're leveraging data, because you're using data as a tool, because you're using data as a way to move forward. It is helping you. And so some of the tools that you want to consider to get information from, of course, is Google Analytics, QuickBook reports. You want to look at some industry trends that are happening in your field of study, whether it's Forbes or Statistica, SBA, the Small Business Association. You want to get credible data because that's what's going to help you to make the right decisions. Whether you're doing from ministry perspective, whether you're doing research, whether you're doing Pew Understanding, you're doing attendance trends, you're doing giving trends, you're doing planning, organization, and leadership collaborations. These are the things that help you come together as a team to make informed decisions with data. I want to talk about real quickly data as a guardrail. Data can help you. That's a defensive move. Data can help you. It can help protect what you've already built. Oh my goodness. Nobody wants to build anything. Scripture talks about making sure we weigh up the cost before we go into a new opportunity, a new challenge. Here, you don't want to have used all of your energy, all of your strength, all of your resources, and haven't measured up and ensure that you are protecting what you have built. So data helps you to understand your budget accuracy. Did I really project well? When I go back, I want to make sure I know what's going out and what's coming in and why. Why are things maybe off from where we projected they would be? It also helps you with risk management. It identifies inefficiencies and fraud very early. When you're using data, it can let you know very quickly, very succinctly, where you're having a gap or a hole in your process and procedures so that you're able to identify inefficiencies and even stop where fraud might be happening early because you're managing and being proactive and you're watching the data trends. It also helps you with program impact analysis. Here's where you can assess what you've done, how well it is working, and we don't just do what we've done all the time because we're more comfortable with it. Here's how we can make sure that we're launching out and branching out to doing new things in a different way because we're looking at impact analysis. We're getting the information and we can evaluate, is this appropriate for now? Was that a decision for then and now we need to do something different? Or is it really bringing about a benefit and it's growing us in the spaces that we intended? And therefore we want to put more effort and we want to put more finances toward making it even better. And then it helps you also with staffing decisions and resource alignments and resource assignments, because you can use performance data to help you understand and determine what roles are working, where new roles need to be created, where old roles are no longer needed. And so it helps you to understand roles when you have needs and alignment. Here I'm using the information to make sure that I have my organization set well. Data as a strategy can help you when you're trying to make those critical and crucial conversations, key and critical decisions. What data does do, it does help you. It helps you keep from being blindsided by shortfalls. Here's what it does. If you don't use data for defensive moves, you can be blindsided by shortfalls. You can be blindsided when things happen. You can fund dead programs. You can be funding things that are no longer beneficial. You can be funding things that are no longer helping your organization. You overlook theft. You overlook waste. You overlook decay when you're not managing and using data for the defensive. You ignore what is clearly not working. Sometimes we might get into a group and we have conversation, and I always say, what is the data saying? Because we all have an opinion, but let's look at what's credible. Well, let's look at what is the data point saying. They are what is going to help us make sure we validate our ingenuity, validate our understanding, validate even our perception and our assumptions about what's happening. The data should help validate how we feel as we move forward into our next decisions. So again, data as a strategic method for offensive and defensive money moves is so helpful. In your business, you can use a 90-day expense trend. Look at what you spend expenses on the 90-day and what are your top unnecessary costs. That's one of the quickest ways you can get a win. Where am I spending most of my money? It isn't necessary. Where am I spending? What are my expenses? What am I growing? And so even as we evaluate, we look at it from the quarter. In this particular quarter, even in ministry, how are we giving in this quarter? How are we engaged in this quarter? What is the narrative that is showing us about what we've been producing in the discipleship and what we've been doing in this last quarter? These are the kind of things that can help us by looking at the state of our organization. What is our current state? And then pulling out those key data points that help us regularly evaluate and course correct. Evaluate and course correct. Because leaders must lead with insight. Oh my goodness. This is one of our last words. Leaders must lead with insight because the systems have to be improved as we go along. And data helps us to realize our results. When we have realized results, we can therefore have data to validate it, data to confirm it. And so what we don't want to do is confusing faith with avoidance. Sometimes I'm just believing. Yes, we do believe, but we also want to use our data to let us know, are we believing correctly? Are we operating in the correct manner? Because we don't want to ignore facts that is telling us that we now need to move in a different direction. We want to make sure that we're leveraging the facts to confirm what we're doing, to reconfirm that we're on the right path, that we are optimizing the time and material that we have available. We want to optimize it. We want to use it to our best advantages. And so even as we get ready to close out today, we want to recognize that information is powerful, but only when we use it. Information is powerful. You need to write that down, but only when we use it. So when we have the right information, we can move wisely. When we are data-driven leaders, we will protect what we built and we grow where we've been called to grow. We protect what we've already built and we grow what we've been called to grow, and we move forward in that. We are proactive, right? We don't lend to bad habits. We want to move forward so that our blind spots don't rob us of our harvest. What is intended for us, the growth that is intended for us, we don't want our blind spots or the fact that we avoid what the data is telling us to rob us of what is planned for us next. We want to be able to course correct. We want to be able to pivot. We want to be able to move in such a way that we take advantage of the now information. Now information. So again, we want to encourage you today that there are a lot of benefits to data, the data play. We want to play to win. And so some of the offensive benefits of data is forecasting, it's targeted growth, it's product and pricing decisions, and it's strategic information because the data has told us this is a good idea and that this is the right time. Some of the defensive benefits of data is risk management. We're now able to evaluate appropriately and understand where our risk might be because of the new set of data. We can control our budgets, budget control, because we're now on the defensive. We have a budget control, and data can let us know where our budget is operating at optimization, and we can therefore move forward or where we need to drop back. Sometimes data can help us with fraud prevention because there's a cue that lets us know something is happening here, and that allows us to make the necessary decisions to make a change or a shift in wherever that fraud is occurring because the data has showed us that there's an impact. And then lastly, we do an overall state of the organization, state of the union, so we can understand a true impact assessment of where our decisions are taking us. So I want to encourage you today that data is not optional. It is strategically necessary. If you don't remember anything else today in our lunchtime learning, know that data is necessary. It is not optional. It is intentional because it can help us make the right strategic decisions to move our organization, our business, and our ministry forward. Thank you for joining us today for your lunchtime learning on Money Mondays. Continue to join us in our series on offensive and defensive money moves. We want to make sure that we finish out the rest of this year strong. This is Executive Pastor Tawana Grant. God bless you today. Peace and blessings.